With that, welcome to Inside this edition of Big Ten Today, fueled by Gatorade. I'm your host, Rick Pizzo. Excited to get both Curt Cignetti and David Braun on the show. Obviously, coaches coming off very different seasons at Indiana and Northwestern, respectively. Hear their thoughts on spring ball and the fall schedule that awaits each. But we begin, as we do each show, with the big story, recapping Wednesday's spring volleyball showcase in Madison, where the Badgers posted a 3-set sweep of in-state rival Marquette. Wisconsin got off to quick starts in each of the first 2 sets, then pulled away late in the third. Charlie Furbringer led the Badgers in assists and on the service line. Mimi Collier had a match-high 14 kills, and Carter Booth had a team-best 5 blocks. Booth and Furbringer highlight our Gatorade game leaders as the Badgers do return solid production at those positions despite losing National Player of the Year Sarah Franklin, Devin Robinson, Yulia Orzol, Cece Crawford, and Anna Smrek from that stacked 24 roster. The addition of Collier, an all-Big Ten performer at Oregon last season, is a huge add for Kelly Sheffield's program. Time for today's big interview as we take you to Madison. Welcome in middle blocker Carter Booth. Hey, Carter, I want to start with last night's spring volleyball showcase. Again, such a good team in Marquette. What's it like in the spring? Not necessarily the season, but to be getting ready by not just practicing and scrimmaging, but to be facing talent like the one you faced last night.
This time is so precious, especially with so many new people coming in. Getting to work on our cohesion on the court in front of our home crowd and, like you said, against some great talent it's just so important and it's so special. Marquette is a great team, and it really tested our ability to hang in there in long rallies and to play offense and to defend, and I'm really happy with how we did last night.
What did you guys do so well? I know, as I mentioned, you got out to a 4-0 lead in set 1, 5-0 in set 2. They push you a little bit more in set 3, but you combine those 3 sets. It's not just a sweep, but you won by an average of about 7 points per set. So what worked so well?
I think it was really our mindset. We went in thinking crush. Like, we don't want to just sneak by a few points. We really want to go out there and crush from the start, be on the attack. And I think that really aggressive mindset helped us to create that separation in all those sets.
You mentioned the fan turnout last night, and I mentioned fan turnout when I look back to 2023 when you played Marquette at Fiserv Forum. It's still an all-time NCAA indoor record, more than 17,000. You guys will do that again. I know the rest of your non-conference is absolutely stacked. That's just the way that Coach Sheffield likes it. How do the players look at that when you know that night in and night out, before you get into the best conference in the country, you're going to play some of the best non-conference competition out there?
Again, I think we all just look at it as, first of all, a testament to how devoted our fans are. We appreciate them so much, and we know we wouldn't be here without them. And also as an incredible opportunity to get used to playing in front of a ton of eyes. We have Madison Quest, who just came out of high school, who a lot of these girls on this team have not played in front of crowds that large. So to get that experience before it, quote unquote, counts, every match counts, obviously, but before we get into our regular season schedule, it's so important, and I'm so happy that we get to practice those kinks right now, as opposed to on the main stage.
Now, that was your 3rd spring match. Pretty cool that the first 2 during that spring break time period in March were out in Hawaii. What was the best part about that trip? And it doesn't have to be on the court if the best part was actually some of the stuff you guys got to do off the court.
This is Wisconsin, so I think all of us would say the best part was winning twice. But outside of that, I think getting to snorkel and explore and just spend time together as a team. I was talking to Emily yesterday and just mentioned that before, a few months ago, we were all strangers to each other. When I sat next to Mimi in the film room, it felt like I was sitting next to a unicorn. Like, I'd only ever seen her through a screen or heard about her through scouting reports. So getting to interact with each other on a person-to-person level was probably my favorite part.
Obviously, Mimi is a huge addition. How has she fit in, and what does make her so good?
She's fit in seamlessly. Everybody has. We're all super close. You'd think we'd known each other for years. And I think what makes Mimi so special is just how calm she is. She's very steady. She doesn't get rattled easily, and I think that's, again, I feel like I'm saying this so much, but it's so important because she does have sort of a target on her back. We know that when we go into these matches, people are going to target her in serve receive. They're going to D up on her. And to have that sort of mentality where nothing really shakes her, it makes her the great player that she is.
You are obviously one of the veteran leaders on this team, a team that, as you mentioned, looks a lot different after so many of the names that I mentioned ran out of eligibility after last season. How does that change your role and the way you approach perhaps your leadership with this year's group?
It's a lot of, I can't assume that anybody knows anything. That was the main conversation that me and my coaches had before coming into the season. Nobody knows really what our culture is. Nobody knows what we're about because they just got here. So it's my job to act as a bridge to Badgers of the past and our past culture and be able to sort of introduce this new group to how we do what we do. And so my leadership role is really just getting us all acclimated to what we need to do here as quickly as possible.
And of course, freshmen need that acclimation, but we've seen in recent years freshmen step in and play remarkably well in this league. At Izzy Stark helping Penn State win a national championship. And in Madison, Charlie Fearbringer was terrific a year ago, and she was fantastic last night, not just in terms of setting and all the assists, but the job that she can do on the service line as well. How have you seen her grow as both a person and player over the last year?
I think her confidence and her presence on the court has grown immensely. She did very well last year, but there is always an aspect of you're fresh out of high school, and it's daunting to come onto a court with National Players of the Year, All-Americans, All Big Ten. That is a daunting task to be able to run that type of group. And I think I've just seen her come into her role as like commander of the court when she's on there, and she's running things very well. She's talking, she's communicating, and she's doing so in an effective and firm way.
Obviously, a lot will be expected from you, from Mimi, and from Charlie. What other names should we get used to having an impact when we watch Wisconsin volleyball?
I think Madison Quest. I mean, she went off last night, and we were all like not shocked. She's a very good player and she does well in practice, but to watch her, this is her third match ever, her first match in front of a home crowd, and to watch her go up and hit 1,000 for the first 2/3 of the match, it was just super impressive, and I'm excited to see where she goes from here.
Carter, I'm curious for you individually, with your dad's background starring at Penn State and in the NBA, why was it ultimately volleyball over hoops for you?
Being completely honest, I got my father's height, but my mother's stubbornness. I do not like being told what to do, or, and just growing up in a house with somebody who is a basketball expert and in some aspects legend, I just knew I did not want to live with my coach. I don't think that would have been a good situation for me, and I wanted to sort of write my own story, build my own path. So I was always going to play a sport. It was very clear. It was either you play a sport or you're joining the mathletes and you're getting your college paid for. And the volleyball was just the one that I chose. It's the one that I fell into.
Stubborn and skilled, maybe a little bit tough for parents, but I'm sure very good when you're expected to be the leader of a top-tier Division I athletic program, which is exactly your role this year with Wisconsin volleyball. Carter Booth, really appreciate the time. Enjoy the rest of the spring. Can't wait to see you and the rest of the team on the court this fall.
Thank you.
Always great to be joined by Curt Cignetti. Coach, I know there's really no such thing as an off season, but for how long did you actually allow yourself and your team, the guys that are coming back, to celebrate and enjoy all the great things that they accomplished in 2024?
Well, the coaches got some time off after the old traditional signing date, and I'm one of the few guys that still give the coaches off for spring break. Of course, the players got to come back when they come back. So, we were finishing up that portal class, and for the players, it was back to work with a strength and conditioning program. So, coaches got a little break, but you don't get many.
No, not in this business, not in this day and age. You do not, and you dive right back into spring ball. You got the game coming up. What do you want to get out of that event? How live are you going to be? What is the format going to look like? And at the end of the day, what do you hope your team takes away from it?
Yeah. Well, we'll play a half. That's what we've done the last 4 or 5 years. And we'll tackle. It'll be our first opportunity to tackle. We've kind of done it like this last 4 or 5 years. Last fall, we didn't tackle in August camp. We just tackled in this game. So just want to see it, nice and clean, penalty-free, guys flying around doing what they're supposed to do. Cut down on the mistakes, penalties, missed assignments, simplify things if we have to. Come out with nobody injured, obviously. And, it's just an opportunity to go out there and tackle.
Curt, I know for you, the quarterback question was answered before last season, a lot earlier than it was for those who weren't aware of what Curtis Rourke was and what he could be. We saw what that manifested itself into last year. What have you seen now from the guys that are competing to be his successor?
Well, Fernando Mendoza is a guy that started 2 years at Cal and put up good numbers. And I've really seen him take a major step in this last week of spring ball. And feel really good about where he's at right now. And his brother, Alberto, today would actually be the backup, redshirt freshman. So I like the progress he's made.
You also lose a couple of important, impactful guys at running back, but coming out of the portal, you get 2 veteran players who have been remarkably successful at their previous stops. Roman Hemby from Maryland, UAB transfer, Lee Beebe. When you look at that running back room, how comfortable are you right now with not just the talent and ability, but also the depth?
I think we're deep. Hemby, Beebe, Kalon Black, Martin, who will be a redshirt freshman. So we're pretty deep at that position. Those 2 guys last year did a nice job, but we've been pretty solid this spring.
At wide receiver, Curt, I think one of the most impressive players, not just in the Big Ten, but in the entire country last year, was Elijah Surratt. To see what he was able to do, even late in the year, when teams were double covering, finding ways to get open and make sure that he was available to catch the balls that Curtis was throwing. Where is he in terms of how can he get better and take the next step in his career?
He's a guy that's always working to get better, and I think he's concentrating on slimming down and becoming more body quick, explosive, and fast. He's had a good spring. He's been a good player for us for a while. I like our frontline guys. Omar Cooper Jr. is an explosive guy. Made some big plays last season. E.J. Williams is back, has made plays in the past, just got to stay healthy. And Charlie Becker's coming along, redshirt freshman. So we've been a little thin number-wise because, we lost a guy to a non-contact knee and had a ham on another guy that we were anxious to see. So, but I like our frontline receivers.
Up front, Curt, you have 2 impact players graduate. I know Evan's still dealing with that injury. That is typically a lengthy recovery, but you go into the portal and you get 3 guys who are immediate plug-and-play guys, and Khalil Benson, Pat Coogan, and Zen Mahalski. Plus, we know the job that Bob Bostad does, coaching all the O-line guys up. How confident are you in the fact that, based on what this O-line was able to do last year, that this group can do the same or even better?
No, I'm expecting more. I'm high on our line. Like you said, Drew Evans and Khalil did not practice this spring postseason surgery, be back in the fall. But I really like the way that group's progressed. I like its potential. Older guys played a lot of ball, have really done a nice job this spring. I'm high on our line.
Defensively, Curt, Mikhail Kamara has become an absolute game wrecker up front. So what's the next step for him, and who else can help him on that defensive front?
Yeah, we're playing him a little bit more into the bench, trying to create a few more one-on-ones with him where we don't have to slide him down and play, over the guard or inside the tackle. And, I just think creating one-on-ones, in the pass rush game will help him quite a bit. And, the biggest thing with him is just playing with a high motor, play in, play out. And he's been a tremendous player, and I expect him to have a big year.
Now, if he's the leader on the front 4, we know at that linebacker position that Aiden Fisher is a guy that can do a little bit of everything, including lead. College football truly learned about what a special player he was last year. What makes him special, and how does he kind of bring the guys around him up to his level?
Yeah, I think without a doubt he is probably the #1 team leader, and I think we got 6, 7 guys with the potential and ability to be great leaders on the team. But he truly has like a quarterback mindset playing defense. Played a little quarterback in high school, played a lot of positions, and that's just a guy that it's always studying, preparing, has great instincts, thinks like a coach, does a lot of communication. He's always in the right place. Just tremendous football player.
Now, on the back end, D'Angelo Pons leads a remarkably veteran group. I know he's the big name. He had the big numbers last year. But you look at that entire secondary, Curt, and I think every guy that you're going to play back there can truly play at a high level. How much of a position of strength do you expect that back end to be for your defense this year?
Well, I hope so. And, the better our pass rush is, the better job they'll do. Pons has been a great player for a while now and had a really good spring. And like you said, we've got others. Farrell did a nice job for us at strong safety. Sharp's coming along at field corner. We got Lewis Moore at free safety, played here in the year before I arrived. And Boykin from NC State. And we've got couple young backups we like too. So, I think that group's got some potential.
Curt, I know you've been doing this for a long time, and I think it's fair to say that freshmen that are coming in 2025, they look a little bit more physically developed than the guys that came in as 18-year-olds in 1985, and they're more ready to contribute right away. So which of the early enrollees that you've seen or true freshman guys that you have coming in the fall do you think can be impactful players potentially right off the jump?
Well, I'd hate to put that tag on any of them. They may be bigger, stronger, faster, but there's still a maturity component that comes into play. Because when you get used to playing with all those portal guys, especially with COVID, you're playing with 24, 23, 25-year-old kids. There's a big difference between a 17, 18-year-old. We've got a couple that have the ability to help us, depending on how quickly they can grow up.
I like that, keeping it under the vest. But since you went there with that chemistry part, I'm curious, from a coaching perspective, it worked so well last year. What was the secret to the sauce there that you guys were able to develop? It seemed like guys that came, and I know a lot of guys came with you, but there were also guys from other schools that just seemed to fit in and click much more quickly than we saw at other schools that went heavily into the transfer portal. Why did it work so well for you?
Well, I think the 13 JMU guys probably is where it starts, and then a lot of the other transfers we knew. We had a history through recruiting when we were at JMU, or coaches on the staff that were with guys at Texas Tech. The Wake Forest guys we knew. And then, the right guys stayed. And, that group had a chip on its shoulder. Now, this is a new group. We don't know some of these guys quite as well. We're getting to know them, and we know them a lot better now here at the end of spring. But we got some real quality guys on this team that have the right stuff, have great leadership ability that can play. And we got a lot of the pieces we need, and we just got to kind of commit to the process and get better every day and be humble and hungry.
It was one of the great stories in all of college football in 2024. Curt, can't wait to see what the next chapter holds in 2025. IU head man Curt Cignetti. Curt, always appreciate the time.
Thanks, Rick.
David Braun, starting his third year as the man in charge of this Northwestern program, joins us now. All right, David, last year, 4-8 season. When you look back at last season, what stands out to you?
Obviously a frustrating year for everyone. Was proud of the way that our program and team continued to fight, but we certainly had a group, or have a group, that has entered this offseason in spring ball, humble, really hungry. The way that our guys have operated throughout the offseason, the way that they're competing throughout spring ball, really excited about the direction this program's going. And at the end of the day, it was an opportunity postseason for us to, either feel like, it happened to us, or an opportunity to say that this happened for us. It was an opportunity for us to evaluate everything and find a way to get better.
Yeah, but how do you get guys to buy into that? Because that's a smart way as a leader to say this is a healthy mental approach. But how do you actually get those 18, 19, 20-year-olds to buy into that?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I think ultimately it was just being really honest, taking ownership. That ownership starting with me as the head coach, and our staff taking ownership on the areas that we need to get better. I think when a group of young men see, us as a staff evaluating everything that we're doing and saying that it's starting with us and asking them to come along and say, hey, we need to get better. It's very evident that we need to get better, and really proud of our leadership, proud of the way that our leadership has, brought along some of the new faces in our program, whether it be the early enrollees or some of our transfers. Really sat down with our leadership this offseason and defined the things that make this program special and how we're going to go compete for Big Ten championships. And it's been great to see the buy-in. And also a certain understanding that, if guys don't want to be a part of where this is trending and how we're operating, ultimately it's a privilege to be playing Big Ten football. And, that's something that we see just the way that our guys are competing throughout spring ball right now.
Well, speaking of spring ball, I'm curious what has surprised you thus far? Maybe it's a player, maybe it's a position group, maybe it's an overall trend you've seen in the team. But so far in spring, what surprised you?
I wouldn't say that this has surprised me, Mike, but what I'm really proud of is in a time in college football where the landscape is rapidly changing and there's still a lot of question marks out there. I've just been so proud of the way that our guys have focused on what they can control, and they can control their effort and their attitude daily. The mission that we've put out in front of our team right now is daily improvement. And, with a world where there can be a million different distractions right now, this team, this group of young men, this program is just focused on what we can do today to get better. And, that's something that's going to have to continue throughout the remainder of spring ball and as we enter into, spring and summer workouts.
Let me give you a chance to shine a spotlight on one or two players. Give me an idea of someone who stood out to you this spring.
Yeah, Mac Uline, our returning Mike linebacker, is someone that just his leadership has continued to, really develop. He has such a great influence on this entire team. His communication, he's someone when he's on the field, he makes all, everyone around him, the 10 other guys on the field better because he's out there with them. Really excited to have Cam Porter back with us. And really excited about that running back room. Obviously having Cam back on the offensive side of the ball as a returning captain, but also Joe Hyman being back with us and his unique skill set and the development of Caleb Komolafe as a young running back. There's a lot to be excited about in that running back room right now.
Let's stay on offense. Last year, 4 different QBs played for you. What have you seen in that position thus far?
I've seen the level of play in that entire quarterback room rise. It's been awesome to see, and it's a credit to Coach Lujan and the offensive staff. It's a credit to Preston Stone, the way that he's come in as a transfer and built credibility with our entire team, and the amount of experience that he brings into the room. Ryan Bowe's development as a young quarterback, you can tell he's benefiting from being around Preston and being around Jack Lausch, a guy that started a bunch of games for us last year. And obviously Jack is in a unique situation right now. He's participating in spring ball as much as he possibly can, while also being a member of our men's baseball team. And Jack's playing his best football right now. The development of Ryan Bowe has been really exciting, and Preston Stone, his ability to build credibility when he showed up on campus, and also just a certain presence and command that he has over our offense right now is something that all of us are really excited about.
Describe Preston's game on the field.
Yeah, it's confident. It's commanding when he steps into the huddle. I think there's a level of confidence that exudes out of him that is passed along to the entire offense. He's efficient, he's accurate, and he processes really well. Obviously at the quarterback position, we love to talk about the explosive plays that guys that can create. But the thing that stood out to me about Preston is just a really good processor that understands the defense, understands the weaknesses within the defense, and can really take what the defense has given him and stay efficient.
What kind of depth do you have on the offensive line this year?
Yeah, much improved. This time last year in spring ball, we had 7 guys participating in spring. We're up to 12, 13, and 14 guys competing in spring ball right now, which is just great for the overall team's development, the offensive line's development. There's competitive depth right now. Just really proud of the progress that room's showing. Everyone from Caleb Tiernan coming back as our starting left tackle. Really raising his level of play to a guy like Jackson Carcello that started some games for us last year at center and seeing his development. But then there's young guys in that room that are really growing and blossoming. That group is starting to create an identity and a certain level of confidence and swagger, which is absolutely critical to winning in the Big Ten. Also have to give a lot of credit to Bill O'Boyle and the job that he's continued to do with that group. We made a choice, to hire a run game specialist, someone to kind of assist in that O-line room and ensure the overall development of that entire group. And Ryan Olson, that comes from South Dakota State. Ryan had a chance to go out to Washington State and made a decision to, be a part of this program, be a part of the Big Ten. And the partnership between Bill O'Boyle, Ryan Olson, and that O-line group right now is something that, is really exciting. We still have a long way to go as an entire program and on the offensive line, but the way that we're operating up front right now on offense, dramatic improvement from this time last year.
One thing that will be the same as last year, in November, you'll be playing home games at Wrigley Field. When you were doing that last year, is there a moment in the game where you kind of catch yourself looking around, or is it sort of like, honestly, wherever we're playing, we're just focusing on the gridiron and what's in front of us?
I think when we played Iowa in the 2023 season, there was certainly that moment of walking out on the field pregame and just taking in Big Ten football, iconic venue like Wrigley Field, the partnership that Northwestern has with the Cubs, and the way that the Cubs have treated us is something that we're all really grateful for. But after that, it's how do we find a way to win this game? And to be honest with you, Mike, we haven't delivered on that mission, not just last year, but the previous year and years prior. That narrative has to change this season. Wrigley has to be a home field advantage for us. Wrigley has to be a place that we expect victory and come away with wins, and excited to change that narrative this year.
Saturday, you're going to let fans in to watch a practice. I'm curious, you've been around the sport for a while. What do you think the future of spring football is?
Oh gosh, that is, it's up in the air, Mike. We have to get this all sorted out. And to be honest with you, I think all of us that are, stakeholders in college football need to be willing, once, the dust settles here a little bit, to reimagine everything and really evaluate what's in the best interest of, our student athletes, what's in the best interest of, developing over the course of a 12-month calendar. Because right now it's just piecemeal together, different transfer portal windows, everything that's going on, old structure, spring ball based on a structure that is dramatically changed. To be honest with you, I think we could be 2-3 years down the road and not even be having conversations about spring ball. I mean, some of this work and development that you're working through in spring ball may be something that's pushed back into later spring or early summer. All things that are up in the air right now. You can only work off the framework that you're provided with right now, but I think all of us need to be willing to reimagine it moving forward.
David Braun, head coach of the Wildcats. Thanks for your time, man. Enjoy the rest of spring.
Thanks, Mike.
And for the first time ever, you get to see live final round coverage of the Big Ten Women's Golf Championships coming to you from Bully Rock Golf Club in Maryland. Our coverage tees off Sunday at 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 Pacific. Again, only right here on the Big Ten Network. You can also see it on the Fox Sports app. Former Gopher standout Emma Carpenter will be on the call for this weekend's championships. So, Emma, I want to start with your recent experience since you were just part of this event. How different does this championship feel to golfers in comparison to regular season tournaments?
Yes, pleased to be with you, Rick. And that's a great question. I think most of all, because it is the conference championship, it's the Big Ten championship, everything that means. You're leading up to it for the entire season. And for some teams who are right there on that regional bubble, we call it, this is their last chance to get themselves a postseason bid.
Bully Rock Golf Club in Maryland will hosted last year, so it's a course that you're familiar with. What will the players find when they get there? What are the challenges that Bully Rock presents?
Absolutely, Rick. Bully Rock is a phenomenal challenge. I think that something about Bully Rock is its risk-reward holes, and the holes where you just need to step on the tee and make your par, possibly birdie. But I think that what's really important about this golf course is having the discipline and the mindset, stepping onto each tee, knowing what is possible and knowing what scores you make to really keep up with or gain shots on the field. And something that I struggled with at times at Bully Rock last year was that a lot of the putts all go towards the Chesapeake Bay. So I think that if you can keep some few things in mind that are unique to the golf course, it'll help you tremendously.
That's interesting because we have 4 schools that weren't a part of this championship a year ago, so they'll be seeing Bully Rock for the first time while the rest of the field has a little bit of tournament experience. How much of a factor could that be, especially when you consider that some of those West Coast schools are considered favorites coming in?
Right, and it's all about mindset and how you want to think about it. I think that when you are coming into a golf course that you have already competed on, that you've already seen, it will give you an advantage. However, there won't be any scar tissue for any teams who are competing on this golf course for the first time. So I definitely think that when it comes to Bully Rock and making the smart decisions when needed and knowing when to be aggressive, that is what it's all going to come down to. So these teams who have not seen the golf course, the 4 teams this year, they are going to want to really dial in the practice round and make some really intentional notes in their yardage book and pick a really solid game plan.
Of course, this event is the Women's Golf Championships, plural, which means we are playing for both team and individual titles. Let's start with the team race. As far as rankings, previous recent results, Emma, who do you see as the favorites in the team race coming into the weekend?
That's right, Rick. Well, Oregon, USC, Northwestern, all inside that top 10. Oregon is the highest ranked team in the field at number 5. That's for good reason. Oregon is one of only 3 schools to have 3 players inside the top 30, which shows phenomenal depth. They have 2 wins this season. In their first 4 events this spring, 3 of those events they came runner-up, and 1 event they won, and that win came over USC, who's ranked 7th, by 23 shots. 23-shot victory. USC at number 7, they have 4 wins this season. One of those wins came when tying Stanford at the Stanford Intercollegiate, which makes the only tournament that Stanford has not won outright this season. And lastly, Northwestern, number 10 in the college golf rankings. Anybody who plays a lot of competitive golf knows that it can be all about momentum. And Northwestern is coming off of a huge win coming into Big Tens at the Chevron Silverado Showdown. This included wins over USC and Oregon, so they are definitely going to be feeling good coming into this weekend.
There's no doubt those are the 3 favorites, but there's also no doubt that we'll see a dark horse. We do it every single championship event where a team that's not ranked inside that top 10, that's maybe not expected to contend, makes a little bit of a run. Who could be that dark horse in 2025?
That's right, Rick. Well, we saw it last year. Indiana coming out with the final round 8 under par, or 5 under par in the final round for the 8 under par finish to get that regional bid with a Big Ten championship win when they otherwise would not have competed in postseason. And things like that happen. You got to throw Michigan State in there. They're going to be looking for some revenge. They lost by just 1 shot last year, and they had a win at the Spartan Suncoast Invitational. 2 second-place finishes this spring or this year as well. And Purdue is a team that I love. They have great coaching, really solid team, and they can take it deep. They got a win at the Coach Mo Classic at the start of this month. They won their home event at the Boilermaker Classic this fall. T2 finish at Briars Creek Invitational this spring, where they finished behind FSU. Second place finish at White Sands Invitational this fall, where they beat Baylor and Texas A&M. So they are just definitely a team that can come out and fire a super low round. Always a team that you're going to want to look out for.
As for the individual race, Minnesota's Isabella McCauley is the defending champ, but no one's gone back-to-back since Purdue's Maria Hernandez did it some 16 years ago. That being said, McCauley shot a 64 in the final round at Bully Rock a year ago. How big of a favorite is she in the individual race?
Isabella McCauley is one of those players who is always going to put herself in contention, even if it might look like she is not. She was the co-medalist with Caroline Craig and Monet Chun last season, and it was that 8 under par 64 that was special, not only because she was my teammate, but because it was the tournament course record that was set by Nicole Castrolli in the 2006 LPGA Championship at Bully Rock. So with that being said, Bella McCauley, a great friend of mine, phenomenal player. She is someone who hits the ball straight every single time. Her irons and her hybrids and wedges are so dialed in. She's going to give herself so many putts for birdie. And if that putter is hot, she might just shoot another 64, Rick.
Among the other contenders that you expect to be in the individual race, not just one, but two USC Trojans. You mentioned USC in the team race. Right. They are obviously anchored by Jasmine Koo and Catherine Park. Tell us a little bit more about those two players.
Well, Jasmine Koo, she's number 2 in the individual college golf rankings. She individually won 3 of the 4 events she played in the fall and then won again in the spring. Now, both of these players are coming off of the Augusta National Women's Am. Jasmine Koo, 3rd in the World Amateur Golf Rankings, and she's just a freshman. She just turned 19 years old. And Catherine Park, a junior, she's also 6th on the World Amateur Golf Rankings. She won the first event of the fall, and until now, she has had 4 runner-up finishes. She's been establishing herself as a phenomenal player at any level. Catherine Park has. She tied for the best finish as an amateur at the 2024 U.S. Women's Open, and she shot 67 in the final round at Augusta National just a couple of weeks ago, finished T4 at the Augusta National Women's Am.
All right, finally, Emma, I'm glad you brought that up because like Koo and Park, Oregon's Kiara Romero also played at the Augusta National Women's Am. Romero and who else could potentially play into the factor race with the individual championship?
Romero, absolutely. She's a sophomore, number 5 in the college golf rankings, number 5 on the World Amateur Golf Rankings. She finished runner-up in 3 of her 4 events this spring, so she is absolutely due. And she's also coming off of a top 10 T7 finish at the Augusta National Women's Am. And also Kari Hollenbaugh Jr. at Ohio State. Now, Kari being a junior at Ohio State makes me feel really old, Rick, because I remember playing with her before she was in college, before her freshman year at Ohio State, and I was thinking to myself, this is going to be a player. She's got herself at number 13 in the college golf rankings, and this is because she is hitting her stride. This spring, she has 4 wins alone, and that includes head-to-head wins over Kiara Romero and Jasmine Koo. She played in the Augusta National Women's Am as well, T22 finish, but this spring that Kari is having is something for the record books.
No question. In fact, those 4 individual wins are an Ohio State single-season program record. Emma Carpenter, great insight. Have a great call this weekend. Can't wait to watch.
Thank you so much, Rick. I appreciate you having me on today. It's going to be a blast this weekend.
2 Big Ten teams and 3 unattached individuals have qualified for the finals at NCAA Gymnastics Nationals. UCLA heads in as one of the top 5 ranked teams, while Michigan State is in the field for the first time since 1988. Maya Houghton, Sophia Diaz, and Mary McDonough will represent Minnesota, Michigan, and Washington, respectively. As usual, many eyes at Nationals will be trained on UCLA star and U.S. Olympian Jordan Childs.
Let's go, today. Bruins take over. Let's get it.
Poly is an amazing feeling. I love the atmosphere. I love the energy it gives. The student section is always amazing, and we get to have fun with everything that we're doing.
Jordan for sure is a character. She has such a big personality.
She brings a lot of fun to the team, a lot of energy, and a lot of experience.
You just kind of forget, like, she's this celebrity and this well-known person that we're able to just bring in so many fans from all over. It's just really cool to have her as a teammate.
I like college. I mean, I wouldn't change the world for it. That's why I came back.
We got this. You know it. Why? You know the story. Why? You tell the whole wide world this is Bruin territory. You know it. Why? You know the story. Why? You tell the whole wide world this is Bruin territory. UCLA. 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 Bye.
In college gymnastics, it's a little different compared to elite. And with elite, we're still a team, but we're also more individual. But with college, you're mostly a team. Everything comes down to the team.
She's so good at finding this landing. A lot of height and a stuck landing. ending there. It's rinse and repeat for Jordan Childs again.
You're surrounded by so many people that want to see you succeed and so many people that are just rooting for you as well as your teammates, and this is a team sport now.
The rules are a little bit easier than what she did at the Olympic Games and things like that. NCAA gymnastics is all about perfection. There is a different mentality behind it.
With college, it's really mainly focused on execution. Winning is hard. It's actually harder to continue to win and win and win because it's an expectation at that rate.
Great job for Jordan Childs getting comfortable back in this beam lineup.
I think that's what's so fun for Jordan is that the pressure is different, but it makes it fun and it makes it a new challenge to really dive into and get excited about.
We are known to have one of the greatest floor parties ever.
When we are on the floor, we really call it a floor party, and we want to put on a show. Hollywood's in our backyard, and so we want to be entertaining.
Everybody loves to come and watch us, specifically for floor, because we basically give them a world tour.
She'll start clapping and everybody else starts clapping, and then the next thing you know, everybody in the crowd is clapping.
When you're competing for your team, you want to support that person that's out on the competition floor any way you possibly can. And so you're going to see our team lined up on the sidelines, really cheering them on, being in the routine and every movement with them. That's what makes it so exciting. That's what makes it so fun and different from what you would see in like an elite competition.
The student section wants a 10.
Will we see our first 10? No suspense. She nailed it.
Huge moment for UCLA.
Jordan is energy. I think that's the best way to describe her, you know. She just really has this presence that lifts people up. She has such a huge fan base that's really vast, and I think once you can get people to come and watch NCAA competition and what we do, it's just such a fun experience. It's a special opportunity this year to bring new fans into our sport.
We're all about artistic gymnastics, right? There's art in a lot of us. We're all creative, so being able to bring that creativity out definitely is a lot of fun, and I think that's what we do as a team, and I couldn't be, more honored to be a part of that.
Let's get it.
National Gymnastics semifinals start on Thursday afternoon. As for the UCLA men's volleyball team, taking on crosstown rival and fellow top 5 USC. You can see it at 10:30, 7:30 right here on the Big Ten Network. Till then, have a great one.